Welcome to a brand new episode of the Lone Coat Mafia Podcast, the internet's most hated mafia-themed geek podcast. It is I, once again, the Reverend Godfather, the show's main host and frontman. This week, we're bringing to you another band interview presented by Don Ramirez. That's right, he's continuing his Frederick Underground documentary, so he lets us sit in with him when he interviews this, I won't say this, but when he interviews these bands. Special thanks to Don Ramirez for letting us do this. This week's band that he let us sit in on the interview with and record his interview is Trigger 13. And let me put it like this. Don is presenting the show with a lot of different challenges that we've had in the past. I'm going to say that. And our 4 years of operation, he, in the past few weeks, has presented us a lot of challenges. And this week is not just recording his interview, making sure we hear his questions and everything else. This time around, what at least I was presented with was that the fact that we were going to have, in essence, 4 people being interviewed. And therefore, the way our kind of our audio input is that we have for such things is really designed for 4 people, not 5, which means there had to be some sharing of mic issues. But that turned out not to be the case. Meaning that there were 3 band members that showed up plus Don, so it kind of worked out for the benefit, just that we didn't really have, at least show-wise, on our end, we didn't really have a lot of long microphone cords to make sure everything was easily accessible for everyone. So that being said, about the first half of the show, there's a sizable chunk of the show. Not only do we have the air conditioner problem causing a little bit of audio interference, we had a weird setup for a good chunk of the recording. It was once there was a break in the show and recording the interview, I got a chance to rearrange the mic so there was better audio. We also had a slight glitch in our mixer, so there was maybe 8 seconds that we had to take out. Luckily, it was just 8 seconds, not 8 minutes or longer. So that was grateful, but there was, a lot of the audio is going to kind of suck, not royally, but you could hear what the Don's laying down. There's going to be some interference again from the air conditioner. There's going to be, you're going to hear some adjusting of microphones, making sure everything was being recorded just right. I do apologize for all of that. But Trigger 13 was a great interview. And once we got the microphone situation cleared up, and you'll hear when that actually goes down because they kind of ribbed the setup because my mic stand kind of doesn't really want to behave the way a mic stand wants to behave. But that's beside the point. We got great audio for you, that half, but everything worked out in the end, so I'm happy with that. This was, again, another great interview. We want to thank not just Trigger 13 for letting us record, but Don as well for letting us sit into the interview and ask a few questions at the end, because this was primarily Don's interview for what he's doing and the project he's doing. So there's that. What else? We want to thank those at Let There Be Rock School for letting us record in their establishment. So I just want to give credit where credit's due because, again, Don, in essence, showed us a lot of where normally we don't have a problem, where we could have a problem. So that just gives me a little goal later on once more funds happen into the show. Again, it was a great interview. I hope you all enjoy it. So I'm going to quit rambling, and I am going to cut straight to the interview. So here it is.
All right, starting with Alan and into the mic. Alan, give your full name and your age for me.
Alan, Jason Flickinger, and I am 37.
Okay. Kevin?
I was going to say, is there any...
Go to you.
So, Kevin Clark, 41.
Dave Bowles, 38.
I'm the elder.
And that's Dayve.
So let's start. I'm going to start with Alan. Okay. And Alan, I want you to give me a history of Trigger 13, and then I'll go to each of you guys.
Go to him.
Go with Kevin.
Go to him. Because I'm not the one who formed the band, so they are the ones that formed the band.
Right.
Okay.
So a lot of this may be back and forth because it's like our recollection.
Actually, I
you know
want
what I mean?
that. I want a conversation.
So it started back. I actually was in this band called the Reanimators. Had members of another local band called
Betty
Betty
Spackle.
and I was from another band, Project Gizmo, just a few punk bands throughout. And we started this little pop punk band called the Reanimators. And we needed a second guitarist, and I knew Dave from a couple prior bands where stuff that may not have worked.
Jamming when I was in high school.
Yeah. So it was like I knew Dave, and I got Dave into the band, and so his first day there, we were in the guitarist from the Reanimators, his name Jason Adams. We were playing in his basement, and we were working on the songs. You know, Dave just came in, he's learning them, and he kind of stormed out of the room and was just like, you know, he was a little upset. Said Dave played better than him and stuff, and he was like he didn't want to be in the band no more. I don't know what happened, why, what.
But he still let us practice in his basement for another 4 hours.
Right.
So we did that, right? Like for 4 hours we practiced, and then we decided to move it. I coincidentally lived in the same block in Westport, so we just moved. It was like 4 doors down from where he was, and we decided to change the name, write some new songs because Dave was a little harder. The music that he was coming from, he was metal and stuff. So
I grew up with that whole thrash thing.
Right. So and we kind of wanted that, you know. I mean, we didn't want to hinder ourselves. So we took that and started running with it, and changed the name to Trigger 13. I can't honestly tell you why Trigger 13.
I was curious about that as well.
I can tell you, I don't know why Trigger. The 13 came from one of the bands that I was in prior, which was called Project Gizmo, and we would push it down to be PG-13. We thought that was cool, so we carried the 13 over. And I can't remember Trigger, why Trigger.
Well, I was always wearing that hat with the 13 patch on
Yeah.
it back then.
So we were like,
And it's
yeah.
definitely better than what the name was at the time.
Right.
Which was
Runner.
what was
Nevertheless.
No, and I think at one time the Kuzaks. It was like all kinds. We had all these different names.
What year is it?
So this is
This was 1999.
yeah. So
Summer of '99.
and then the drummer that we had, Pat, he was from, like I said, he was from the Reanimators, and we were working on it. And then somewhere along the lines, we decided we were going to look for another drummer. Just wasn't working out for some reason. Maybe he flaked on us. I don't know. He has a habit of flaking on us. But
You know you do, Pat.
yeah, we're still friends, which is funny. But and then somewhere along the lines, we discuss it all the time. We're just like, how did we meet? But somehow Alan.
I remember how we met.
All right, here we go.
So in Glen Burnie, well, between Glen Burnie and Severn, there was a place called the Church, and there would always be bands playing there. And I don't think you guys were playing, but I think this cracker over here was at the show and had the demo tape that had the Misfits cover on it and 2 other songs. And he gave it to me and wrote the number on it, and I gave him the number, and somehow, I don't know who called who.
Yeah, but also,
I don't know who called who though.
well, it's funny. I don't think you called, because I remember like a week or so later, he was up at the Radio Shack or something up there by Cherry Hill, or the electronics store.
We got Chinese food. I remember Chinese food.
And you ran in, you were like, dude, I just ran into this guy, he's a drummer, and he came out and was like, I know this guy, and he immediately came back to the house and started playing.
So you have been playing, you guys, the 3 of you, have been playing together since when?
1999.
Yep, 99.
Wow, that long.
Yeah.
That long.
Now that's off and on.
Yeah.
Right.
Off and on. And there was a big part where we weren't playing with each other, but it started back in '99, just running around, having fun, drinking, getting hammered, playing shows as much as we could. Trying to find a practice spot, which one of the practice spots was the Hour House, which we spoke a little bit about earlier. And yeah, it was just like just playing. Just playing.
Let's talk about what were some of the contemporary bands back there that you guys remember playing shows with when you're first beginning to get together.
Right.
And let Dave pick that one up. What are some of the memorable bands that you, in the early years that you guys are playing, what bands really stood out for you and why?
There was Misdirected was cool. They stood out to me because Tony X, their singer, was a real cool frontman. He used to do backflips and shit. The guy was crazy. And they were good too. But you add on top of that a guy who does backflips on the stage, that's pretty cool.
Right.
And we were playing with Brat all the time, which now those guys are in a band.
Paperback and Clockbreaker. They're
Yeah.
2 different bands.
Well, some of the guys are in it, but back then it was just Brat. It was a 3-piece, and they were like a pop band, and they were really good. I liked them because they were good. I liked the music that they wrote. And then there was
We were on the ass end of like the Springfields and Stump Monkey.
Yeah.
There were a lot of cool bands back then. We were on the ass end of bands like the P-Tanks. Amazing band.
Yeah.
Amazing band. And I think that there was Blank who was on Reptilian Records. We talked about Reptilian.
Right, yeah.
Ryan Shelkett. Ryan, the singer for Blank, was the older brother of one of my friends, and I didn't even know it. And one day he's just like, he came in and gave me a CD. I listened to it. Kind of blew my mind a little bit. And that was kind of like the beginning of emo, early days of emo.
the real emo, not the shit now.
Right. And really good stuff, man. Really good stuff. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut
But
in
yeah,
there.
there was that band. There was one of the bands I really liked from back in the day. I just thought they were great. They kind of reminded me of like if Motorhead was like, I don't know, like Louisiana Southern rock. They were called Big Daddy Chrome. They were just bad as shit. They were awesome. They were
As
just a
soon as
bunch
you
of big
mentioned
dudes,
Big
but they were just like their music was kind of rockabilly-ish, but it was also like Motorhead-like. But these guys, like all they sung about was like hot rods and guns.
I
And it was
remember-
just the coolest shit.
I remember that first show we played with them, and it's like we bumped their time back because we played a little long, and they were mad at us until like we were the only ones on the floor like dancing and stuff. And they're like, "We've never seen people dance to our music. This is perfect." And then it was like they were okay with us after that, but at first they were a little upset.
Yeah.
What about the Homeowners? You can't forget like
Yeah,
the
the
Homeowners.
homeowners were around back then. They were really cool.
They helped us with our first album.
Yeah. Yeah, the
I mean,
homeowners were on the first record.
Forgive us if some of our times is just a little wonky, but these are all the bands that I can remember, like our first stretch
Excellent
of playing.
Well,
Yeah,
the
great
homeowners,
bands.
Dave, his name was Dave Homeowner at the time. Is
Yeah.
now the singer of the band Cop Stabber. That Dave was in the homeowners, so we've known him since back then. And there was the Screws,
The Screws.
The Beat Me Up.
Babies with Rabies, Cab Assassin. Remember them? The
Yeah,
DC
yeah, they were pretty good.
Alan,
Yes.
I'll throw one at you. How many albums would you say or projects Trigger 13 has released since '99?
Since '99, we have 2 full lengths and an EP that are released. There's an EP that's been unreleased that was put out before we did the full length, the first full length.
I think most of them songs ended up making it.
But most of those songs made it on the first full length.
That was unreleased until just recently.
Yeah, the full length was actually we were never going to release the first album, but then our original rhythm guitar player passed away. How long ago was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago now. And honestly, we've struggled to find a rhythm guitar player since.
Yeah.
We've been on the hunt constantly, but us three together have continuously been playing. We've been playing together now continuously. What, 4 years? 5? Between 4 and 5
About
years.
4 and 5.
So.
Let's talk about Trigger 13 sound and how you guys come together and the contributions that each individual makes and the creative process that you guys use to finish a song and an album. Start with Alan, then we'll go to Dave and Kevin.
So, with my drumming style, one of my biggest influences is Josh Freese. Perfect Circle, Vandals was his first, actual band. What I've known him for and look up for him for as far as his drumming style. Pennywise, stuff like that. It's more or less my drumming style. And then Dave's more metal. Kevin's got more of that screamo type ordeal going on with his style. So we have 3 different contrasts put together that really honestly shouldn't go together. But for some fucking reason, we make it work.
Yeah, we think.
And we love, obviously, we love the harmonization of, bands like, Bad Religion, No Effects, and stuff like that. So in our singing, all 3 of us sing and incorporate that style of
even some stuff that's
singing.
not punk, like Queen and stuff. I mean, like I said,
Rush.
We all like classic rock too,
Right.
and there's a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, like if you listen to our new record, there's a lot of, I did a lot of guitar harmony stuff on this one, which I didn't do on the other ones and never, mess with it. And then there's a whole lot of vocal harmonies everywhere all over this thing. And that kind of came from, because one of my favorite bands is, I'm going to say it, Def Leppard. And if you don't get those vocal harmonies, you suck.
A little bit of Faith No More in there.
Yeah.
So.
As far as structural breakdown, for instance, Kevin and Dave are primary writers of the songs. So, they usually get together, they'll write a song, they'll record it, what they can do on something. Kevin will come to me. He sometimes will put a computerized beat to it and say, hey, this is what I was kind of thinking. He gives it to me. I sit down with it, put my own thing to it, and then we break it down structurally, section by section of the song, and then play it out and keep playing it until basically we got it down. Then we record it demo style before we actually go into the actual studio. And then we'll lay it down in the studio, and that's exactly how we structuralize our breakdown as far as doing a song.
One of the things I found most fascinating with all of these interviews, and I've discovered music because of them, which I thought was really neat, is everyone is bringing multiple ideas into their own personal style. Mm-hmm. So let's go individually, and I'll start with you, Kevin. You guys have already been talking about some of your influences, but talk about some of the most powerful influences that have touched you as an artist and musician.
So I'm gonna go back to the music that really kind of started it all for me. Like when I really started having a passion for
Chris, will you
like
that
punk
air
rock.
conditioner?
It started
Turn that off.
with some of the West Coast stuff, like Face to Face. Got really into Face to Face. Some of the early Fat Fans, No Effects and stuff like that. I really like that West Coast punk thing. Really, that's what really got me into it. It was really had a good recording quality. When I was first getting into punk, I remember listening to stuff like the early Misfit stuff and all, and I always was kind of on the recording quality, kind of a little muffled, you can't hear everything. And then it's I got hit with this Fat Record stuff, man, and it was just blowing my mind because it's I finally was listening to stuff that wasn't on the radio, like Green Day or The Offspring, that was recorded at a really high quality at the time, and you could hear everything and you could hear what they did. Somewhere along the lines, I got this album, the element of Sonic Defiance by Strung Out, mind-blowing, game-changing, because I mean, they were like, it was like the first time I heard like real metal aspects in punk rock music. And I don't even know, I think they're considered punk rock. I don't know. I know a lot of people frown upon it like that, are really in the scene, like some of the West Coast stuff and all. But that stuff is like where it just really was like kind of shaping out what I want to do, because I heard it and it was like you had the timing changes and stuff, and everything just appealed to me. It made me feel something. That's where I want to go with it. So coincidentally, Dave and Alan, like Dave being into metal, it was perfect. Like it just, that's where he is and what he does. And he wasn't like, sometimes you have them metal kids that just aren't accepting of punk or against it and stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was very open-minded because he listened to a lot of stuff like
It was the first time he played me AFI. I was like, this is fucking shit.
Yeah, AFI. And they're really one of my influences. I like stuff like the Dwarves. It has a little bit of that surf rock and stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of
Dwarves
it.
got me too.
A lot of it, like just stuff, and the catchiness of some of it was simple and catchy, and it just got stuck in your head immediately, and it was like that was the stuff that just got to me, and that's what I wanted to write. So I've always said, when people ask like what kind of music we are, I'm like, we write music that
We're a rock and roll band.
Right, we write music that I want to hear. You know what I mean? That's I don't know if that's selfish.
You want to hear, I want to play.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it's like, I mean, we fight sometimes, or we'll be writing and we'll fight over things, and it's funny because we'll be like, this is absolutely not going to work. It's going to work. It's absolutely, and then we do it, and it's like, this works. Or we'll be arguing about something, and then we'll be like, well, that's kind of what I was saying. We'll play it, and we'll be like, it's exactly what I was saying. Because we, it's like we come from these different
backgrounds.
Right. So we try and explain it differently.
I want to clarify something. A lot of people think the reason that there's solos, like guitar leads in our music, is because I'm a metal guy and I have to play them. I just want to clear this up now, okay? I don't feel the need to play a fucking solo in every song. If the person that you blame is right here.
Yeah.
Because every time he writes a song, he writes a space where he's like, "That's where you solo."
There's this dead air, man. This is for you. No, he's 100% correct. He's correct. So, I mean, that's where it is for me. Like I said, that I guess it's like that 90s West Coast punk sound really got me. Not that that's the only thing, but that's the thing that really got me interested in music. That and the fact that it was kind of a quick fix. Like I was into comic books and stuff, and I was writing like stories for people and stuff, and it just took so long. And this was like the quick fix for it gave me that same kind of high from writing stuff like that, and that's where I it kind of, for me, that's what it is. And then, like I said, these guys, they make everything happen. Like everything that I hear, they either make it better, or it's like it's amazing the stuff that they do to some of the stuff that I write. And then it's like really it's a collective. What usually starts at like whether he writes it or I write this skeleton to the song. Once it's fleshed out, and it's awesome, and it's awesome for me, like to hear what they do to the stuff that I write, and I hope it's the same way with them.
The new set of riffs I came up with the other day. I started writing this song. It was about 2 weeks ago now, and I was like, man, this is way too metal. It's like doomy. It'll never fit the band, right? And so I sent it to him just as like, look at this. This is funny. I wrote this. And then he was like, no, play it. So I played it for Alan, and he started playing this beat to it, and I was like, okay, so we can do it. All right, cool.
Right.
Alan, tell me about some of your influences.
I'll tell you the first time that I wanted to do music, because, all right, so it was when I saw Thriller for the first time, 1989. Is when I really decided that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do music. I wanted to get into film. I wanted do that stuff. Then and you'll know this person that I mentioned next, and was 96, I believe, is when I formed first actual out of school band, and it consists of Chris Norris, Kenny Wolstein singing. and Jason Beach, I believe, who was playing bass for Kendall Community. Both of them ended up playing bass. I got really rebellious. I picked up a Dead Kennedys album and Black Flag album. And that really changed the course as far as music and my tastes. Went straight to punk, and it's always been that way. I tend to like more of the West Coast sound, more of the NoFX and those along the lines strung out.
I think we forgot Rancid.
Bands like that. But back in the day, I definitely was more into the Minor Threat, the Black Flag, Circle Jerks. I still love Circle Jerks. Throughout the years, picking up other bands, stuff like that. We started off as a Black Flag cover band, and then worked on it from there and started writing original stuff. And I don't think I've ever played in a cover band since. So it's all been original stuff since then. Not that I can't play covers.
Dave, let's talk about some of your influences. Let's talk about that metal. How old were you when you actually discovered metal, and what is it, the first metal albums that start, resonating?
The first metal album I ever got, my mother bought it for me because she thought the cover looked. It was Megadeth, Rust in Peace, and I was like, cool. So, really, I guess I have my mom to thank for this. I also have her to thank for the music too. She was a big influence on me because she played classical guitar, and she would sing songs to me when I was a kid and stuff, and then she would let me play with it and everything. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but it was cool. She let me mess with it. And then they got me my first guitar when I was 12. That was cool as shit.
I love that. So you're 12 when you first start playing music. Let's talk about.
I had been listening to Megadeth, and
right.
Right after Megadeth, I had heard. God, what was it? I think it was right around the time that Hysteria came out. So all that shit was all over the radio, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds great. But imagine if you took this, and then you did what Megadeth's doing. So that was yeah.
Talk about learning music. You're 12. You got your first guitar. Are you taking lessons? Are you playing with friends around the neighborhood? How does this thing develop in you as you begin to take it serious?
Well, they got me my guitar, and then they signed me up for lessons. I went to 2 of them, and I told them, I don't want to go no more. And they thought it's because I didn't want to play guitar. It's because I didn't want to learn the hippie shit that this guy was trying to teach me. Seriously, dude was trying to teach me Sweet Home Alabama. At 12, you don't give a fuck.
Right.
Right? So I was like, look, I really don't want to do it anymore. I don't like it. So they took me out of it, and they thought I was never going to play guitar again, but I just kept making noise in my room, and every day my dad, still to this day, will be like, God, it sounded like a cat was being ground up in a fucking weed whacker or something. But he said one day I came home and he was actually playing along with something. It's because I discovered the E chord. And I was like, I put on Sad But True by Metallica, and I was like, dun, dun, dun. It's all I could do for 3 months, but I was the shit. Because my friends would come over and they'd be like, damn, dude, you can play it.
What's the first song you really remember playing to completion?
First song I ever learned all the way through? See, the big album at the time, probably what I was into at the time. Probably Through the Never, Metallica, which is not easy.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Alan, how old are you when you start playing music, and how does it become part of your life?
Well, playing music and wanting to do it forever are 2 different things for me. So I started in church choir probably 5 years old, 5, 6 years old. Then started doing church bells. Then took piano lessons and then wanted to get into the drums. Now, when I first started doing drums, my parents didn't really get me a real kit. So I eventually got frustrated and popped every single drum head and broke it, and they swore they would never buy me a set again. So in between there, I decided that I was going to try other instruments. I tried the bass, I tried the guitar. I just couldn't figure any of it out. But I knew how to play the drums, and I was able to play the snare for a concert band from the time I was 3rd or 4th grade. Now, when I was that young, I was playing with the middle schoolers, even though I was a beginner. I didn't understand why, but apparently, from what I understand at the time, I had really good rolls. Now,
Yeah, you're right.
to this day, I still do not know how to read drum tabs. I'm
You're all right. I don't know how to read music either.
I'm self-taught, and that.
I don't think anyone that really, I mean, most of the guys that we're working with are the same as you guys. Self-taught.
I
played it for generations.
If I wanted to learn something, I literally just stuck headphones on and would hear the difference between the cymbal hits and what different drums they were being hit, and I would try to figure them out while playing at the same time, and then go through it. And that's just basically how I taught myself. And then eventually just took beats that I was learning from other people and changed them into my own, and then put them into my own songs. And that's pretty much how I break everything down. But yeah, I mean, that was early on. But then I think I got my first actual drum set when I was 12. But I played the snare drum and everything. Like I said, I've been playing drums for 31 years now. So I say 7 because that's when I got my first kit. So,
Kevin, what about you? How old are you when you start playing?
So
22.
really, right? Really playing. I'm gonna say, how old am I now? Like 41.
you're the oldest one in the band, man.
Right. So
Youngest looking.
I guess really starting to play was probably around 17 or 18. Had no idea what I was doing. I still don't.
That's true.
Before that, I know my brother tried to start, like, he had a little basement band with his friends and stuff, and they would have their instruments down there, and they were fucking awful. So I used to go down and I would mess around on their instruments, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'm sure it was just a lot of noise. But
It's probably just as bad as them.
it was terrible. I'm sure. I guess around 17, 18, I started a band. I was just a vocalist at the time, and we kept losing our bass player. And I would watch the bass players play, and it was a lot of just single notes and stuff. You know what I mean? Just like 4 chord progressions and shit. And I'm watching, and I was like, I think I can fucking do this. So I taught myself to play 4 chord songs. Well, if that's called playing, and sing at the same time. And we played a couple shows, and I've been stuck doing that shit ever since. I wish I would have never picked up the bass. It's extremely too expensive, and I thought that at first it would be fucking easy because they were only playing 4 chords, and then I learned that there were like progressions and scales and shit, and I hate it ever since then. But you can't find nobody to do it. Fucking guitarists are too stubborn to play bass, so that's where
I'm
I
too
am.
good for it, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's about it. And then I just started writing music, and I really like to write what I call writing music. And and just stuck being a bass player. I even started a band where I was like, I'm not going to sing. I'm just going to focus on playing bass so that I can learn to play bass. And that shit didn't last long because fucking the vocalists were horrible, and they were like, you should just sing, dude. So and I don't think I can sing either. But yeah, around 17 or 18, I started playing. Started beating on the bass, and then kind of been there ever since. Kind of just stuck.
That's the difference between me and him. He started out as a singer. He didn't mind being a singer.
Right.
I never wanted to be a singer. I always just wanted to be a guitar player.
And
I got forced into this shit.
the really messed up thing is like I have like social anxiety, so it's kind of tough. Like every show, and it's never stop. Everybody's always like, "Oh, you'll get used to it." And,
No, you don't.
No, fuck no. Every time I get up there, it's like I'm completely nervous until like 5 minutes in. Like usually after the first or second song, and I I just forget that everybody's out there because I'm playing, and it's just like, it's back.
Nerves are
doing
good
what I
though.
like to do.
It's what makes you feel alive though.
No, it is. It's my therapy. Without it, I think I'd just be a serial killer. So.
Yeah, but then you'd be famous.
Got me there.
Let's talk about Trigger 13's aesthetic. Like, we've got the banner behind you guys. You've done your album covers. How do you guys go about, bringing in that art, the visual part? And it's such an important part of music. So let's talk about what you guys do intentionally with the imagery and what you're trying to say with it. And then we'll talk about some of your favorite album covers and different artists like that, the visual parts of it. So I'll start with Dave.
Aw. Well, as far as the album stuff, we all like the old science fiction and the old, horror. It's just our thing, and serial killers and stuff,
I think it reflects to some of our influences too, like the dwarves and
Yeah.
we like a lot of stuff like that, the Misfits and stuff. So it's all
I mean,
all
come
based
on.
around like sci-fi and.
I mean, I love Cannibal Corpse. Of course, I like shit like this. You know what I mean?
It's awesome.
So,
I guess we've been categorized. I just don't like this at all, but we've been categorized
Horror
as
punk?
a horror punk band.
sometimes.
The only thing that really makes us a horror punk band would be some of our lyrics, because our stage show is not, we don't put makeup on, we don't.
Yeah, that's the
do
problem I
any of
have
that
with being a horror punk band, is that we don't all dress alike. We don't wear
Right.
makeup or anything like that. You know what I mean? We don't like dye our hair.
Not that we
black.
haven't. Hold on.
Not that we haven't done that. I'm just saying at this stage in time, this go round, we're not, we don't do that. So that I kind of have a problem with being a horror punk band, but I get because of the content it kind of fits.
Yeah, we really are. For the
But then
content.
again, when you think about it, we may not wear stage costumes, but if we are a horror punk band, as people say,
we're probably
we
one
do
of the most
have
scariest. 'Cause,
the best stage costumes ever, because we just look like normal people. That's what all fucking serial killers look like, man.
That's BTK.
Next door neighbor.
Some of your favorite metal album covers that just, are visual.
Oh, album covers? Tomb of the Mutilated by Cannibal Corpse is not the censored one. Fuck that one. The original one where she's all like, that one got me. Oh God, the back of, or maybe it was the front, Euthanasia by Megadeth, where they got all the babies hanging by like their big toe on the clothesline and shit. I was like, that's really fucked up. Poison, Look What the Cat Dragged In.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or it was the first Poison record. I can't remember which one it might have been that one. But
That's
it's the
got
one that
the
had,
forearm on the cover.
yeah, the forearm on the
cover.
cover. Yeah, I got that because I thought those chicks were hot.
Yeah.
What about Cinderella? Fucking.
Oh yeah. Tom Kiefer was a good-looking woman of a man.
Yeah.
The first time I've seen Skid Row, 18 in Life, and I was just like, man, she's fucking.
Man, I remember the first time I saw Cinderella on MTV, back when they actually played videos.
Right.
And I remember I'm seeing this, man, I'm like, man, that chick playing that piano in the sand looks pretty good. But I was like, but she can't sing worth the fuck. Because she started singing, right? I can't tell you, baby!
But how great is his voice? I mean, really, how great is his voice? Like the raspiness?
Well, yeah.
But yet he's still like hitting all those octaves and stuff, man. It's great.
Let's talk about some of your favorite album covers.
Bedtime for Democracy. It's definitely my favorite one. I've always liked the cartoony style album covers. Never really got into a whole lot of art as far as that. I tried doing art and failed miserably at it, so I just kind of stepped away from it. And
Now he just hates it.
This guy, I can appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, I can definitely appreciate it. But this guy is definitely the one that does our art. In fact, he's the one that does some of the flyers that you've probably seen
And the album art.
and the album art and stuff like that. So he's definitely the one you want to ask as far as the art.
Let's talk about that, Kevin.
Okay. Again, to go back I started I like comic books. I taught myself how to draw over the course of a summer one time because I remember being back in middle school. I met this kid. Everyone told me, they were like, you need to talk to Mike. You need to talk to Mike Mallard. He's this great artist. So I met him, and I mean, at the time I was drawing like stick figures, and I thought they were the shit. But then I seen this guy's artwork, and it was like real, right? Like it was fleshed out. There was anatomy to it. Shit, it looked like comic book stuff, you know. And I was really heavy into comic books. So I seen it, and I was just like, holy fuck, this guy's good. But I'm going to be better. So over a course of the summer, like I started learning stuff. I learned a little bit about anatomy and stuff. I really started just dissecting the art in comic books that I was reading at the time and stuff. And I just got into that. I started learning like color schemes and stuff. I just wanted to be, I wanted to look as professional as I could get to look. And then I came back and I was better than him. I'm just saying it, Mike. But the guy's a great artist. And then that was my first passion, was like just doing stuff like that. And then it's like once I got into music, it was a no-brainer that I was going to do some of the art for the stuff. Because I always seen stuff like, I remember The Art of Drowning and All Hallows EP for AFI. Like they were kind of like drawn covers, and I really liked it. It was like kind of cartoony, but still it had that horror aspect to it.
I like how they look like old bound books.
Yeah, and then it's like I have these influences, like looking back at old horror posters and stuff and just how they were laid out. I think that they're really awesome. I think some of the early emo albums, they were really great with the artwork, like how it was like everything was boxed, you know? And it was like maybe the whole album cover was blue with a square box of some picture, be it some industrial picture or something else. But it was just really cool because it was kind of like hidden meaning inside of everything. You had this art, and then it was like I just started working on stuff. And I mean, we go through so many different ideas, man. Like I'll lay something down, like maybe the guys won't like it for some reason or something. I'll just start working on something else. Lots of art.
Almost kind of like the music. I mean, he'll
is.
send me. We'll sit down and listen or look at 20, 30 different pictures, or listen to 20 different songs, and we might pick 5 out of them that we actually like.
And I still try and push some. I'll still be like, man, but I really like this one. I really like this one.
Same as with the art, we all want. Everybody has to agree on everything.
Yeah,
It is 3 people involved in everything here, so everybody has to agree to it. So.
Yeah.
But he's got all 3 of them.
And it does
all 3 of your creative energies.
Right.
I always felt that if they like it, they want to play it. You know what I mean? So I never try and, like, if they don't like the song, I don't try and push it on them. Although we've had songs where we were like, we don't know
like
about
it.
this, and then we've recorded it and been like, this song is amazing.
Or we don't
How did
like
we do
it,
that?
and we go back 3 or 4 months later and
then
listen to it, and we're
yeah,
like,
we're
oh
like,
shit, why didn't we play this in the first place?
So I mean, we do it all the time. But I mean, it's like, I write. Writing is like really weird for me because I can sit down and I just like get in these moods where I'll write like 3 songs in a day, and then there'll be 3 completely different songs. So I have this plethora of material that we just like sit down and we'll listen to and we'll go through, and there's like so much stuff that's not done, and there's stuff that's complete, like as in like just structure, and we'll sit down and we'll listen to it. And it's like, sometimes I don't even remember, I'm like, I gotta learn this shit over again. I don't even know how to fucking play this. It's been so long since I heard this. But it's just real weird how things happen. And then like, these guys see something that, like, they'll take something that I have like that, and then, like I said, they just have a completely different perspective of what it should be, and we'll work on it, and it comes out, in my mind, it comes out amazing. So I hope that other people appreciate it as much as I do when it's done, because it really is like just to do it and have it out there for people to hear, and in the hopes that they'll appreciate it, and that it does something for them. Like I know a lot of local bands, they did that for me. It made me want to play. It made me want to do something like that. And that's why I do it. So, I'm 41 years old and still beating away at it because I love it. Because, like you said, we're not making money. We spend more than we make. I mean,
right. Yeah. And there was a couple songs on the record that, when he initially played the demos for him, I was like, I don't like that. I was like, that song sucks. And he was like, but imagine if you sang it, like playing to my ego. And I was like, yeah, it would be the shit. And then those ended up being pretty good songs.
I've got a question. This is, and I've asked everyone. This happens to me as an artist, where I start down a road or an idea, and it doesn't flesh out. But I know I'm on to something, and I have to set that aside. And then I come back to that riddle much longer, farther away, and I can resolve it almost like unconsciously. So, are there ideas that have sat for a while before you guys have really been able to bring them out to fruition? If one's coming to mind, let's talk.
I'll take this one.
Yeah, do it.
The song that we just got done, we just did the demo of it the other day. Our demo, just for us to listen to it. We did the demo of it down in our practice spot the other day. It is a new song. Kevin's singing it. We just finished writing it. I started writing this song almost 9 years ago.
He's played it for us like hundreds of times, and he's like, we should work on this. And it was just weird. Like, we would start working on it, start working on it, and it got to the point where just like recently I'm like, dude, where's that guitar track that you had? You guys, and it was like, it took us all this time for me to just be like I start, like, I'm like pretty much beating at his door.
The music was done to the point where I even had a harmonized guitar solo in it sounding like fucking Mega Man. Like, everything has been written and done. It was just like, can we play this? And we just didn't do it for like 8 years, and then I had forgotten about it.
Except for vocals, he refused to do it. He was like, it's too hard for me to play and sing. I'm not doing it, so you have to do it. I was like, all right, you just throw that shit at me like that. So, but yeah, somehow, some way, we came up with stuff for it, man.
Fucking fantastic.
It is. It's pretty good.
It's awesome.
So right now, the working title for it is like Howling, like the movie Howling about the werewolves.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's fucking awesome.
Right. So, and it has to do with that. It's one of our.
What's the last name of the guys? The Quist or something like that. The ones that they think are the serial.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Quist or something like that.
I don't even remember. Like, it's been so long since I've seen it. I just know that I had to write about that. So, and it doesn't like. It's probably one of the songs, like we usually come up with these really easy, catchy choruses, and I think this is one that's not kind of like that and doesn't just bluntly come out and say what we're singing about. So it's more metaphoric than maybe some of the other stuff that we did, but it's going to be a really good song. And the title could always change, even though that it is what it's about. It could always change, and then it could always not. It all depends on what. I mean, we've had songs where it's like we didn't have titles, and I think Dave named one "Fuck Stick" for the longest time. Yeah. And I was like, no, that's
well,
not
even the songs off the last record. What was the last one?
Well, we do have Nameless.
This Dead Me. That didn't actually have a name. I called that the boogity 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 boo.
Yeah, boogity boogity.
Because that's what he does in the beginning with the drums.
And then we have Nameless, which is actually nameless because we didn't have a name.
I couldn't find something that I was happy enough with for it, and then we just said, you know what, fuck it, Nameless is great.
Some of these song titles are just like they say they are.
Yeah.
Like I use song titles that like they can't stand it. Like I'll call shit like Alaskan Pipeline, Reach Around.
Was it finger? What's your one? Your finger banging the octomom and the octagon?
Oh yeah. I wanted to call. Well, we went with self-titled for the. I'm sure you've seen our CD with the
terrible
with the
name.
We went with self-titled because I got outvoted. I wanted to call the record "Finger Blasting the Octomom in the Octagon."
A terrible name.
Would have been a hit.
I don't think.
But hey,
I think that's kind of horrible.
Right.
So
it's like a long time ago. I wanted to change the name of the band to the Electric Hamster Experience.
I'm so glad that we veto you on things.
So you guys have been performing and recording for 10 years. 10 years.
Off and on.
99 to 2019.
Yeah, off
well,
and on.
I'll be 20 years.
Yeah,
20 years. 20
and that's
20
off
years.
and on.
Okay, so here's my question. In those 20 years, each individual one of you guys, to share with posterity, these are the songs of Trigger 13 I'm most proud of, that I would most want you to listen to, so we'll go 1, 2, 3. Take your time with it. You've been on all of these, in these, participated. These are the ones you want the future to listen to.
Sure, I can't go first.
Let him go. Let Kevin
So
go first.
this is it. I don't know how they feel. Anything off of this last album.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's why.
Absolutely.
And why I think anything off this.
What's the name of the album?
It's
It's self-titled. Trigger 13.
Self-titled.
It's
Trigger 13.
big red T and 13 with a circle on it.
And I think that
Blood
And
spatter.
the year. This is now,
Yeah.
2019. This is what you got.
This is
from
it.
right
We
there.
recorded at the winter of last year and released it at the U.S. Bomb Show at 6/11 at the end of the year. So it's technically been released, but we do everything ourselves, so I guess it hasn't been released.
And I think the reason for me why I would say anything off that album is just because I think it took us that long to really find ourselves. Like that's where it really truly is 100% us. You know what I mean? It's Trigger 13. This is us. This is what we sound like. I think that we've dabbled in all this other stuff along the way, and I think that we all went our separate ways. We all played in different bands, and I think that some of our music would show through those bands. But I think that once we got back together, we did an EP. Kind of, we were like, hey, let's try and do this again, see what happens. We did an EP, and then after that, we started working on stuff a little harder, a little, you know, and all of us have influence on every song. Like, wouldn't it be cool to do this, and it was like stuff that we just made it our own, and we really found ourselves with that album. I think so. I think that's where it is.
So it's the maturity of the album.
Yeah, from a music standpoint, if you go on the Bandcamp, type in Trigger 13, and if you listen to all three of the albums, the first one, the EP, and then the last full length, you can hear the progression and the maturity of the music throughout them. And like he said, it took us a while. And from the other bands, I mean, I played in Corrupted Youth, the semi-bass band, punk band from 2000 to 2010, and did a lot of touring throughout them. But playing with them and learning a lot from that band, I was able to take what I learned from them and bring it back to this one, which I think has helped a lot.
Yeah.
And I know him playing with Optimus Prime and the other bands that he's played in through the years, and with him doing Professional Victim and stuff, he's learned other stuff. So it's definitely an awesome thing when you, from a musician standpoint, you can definitely hear it for sure.
And I think it reflects how we feel about it, how we feel about playing too. Because I mean,
The other big difference between the last one and the other ones is that I don't sing as many songs on this one.
but that's not the reason why.
But I will be singing more on the next record, I promise that, because I was focused on the guitar on this one.
Yeah.
I wanted to get really good shit, and I wasn't thinking like, oh yeah, I should probably write some lyrics and sing a couple songs.
Yeah, and I was pushing for it. I was like, man, you need to sing more on this album. You need to sing more on this album. And he's like, I can't. I'm playing this. I'm playing that. You're gonna have to do it. So it was like, I think we were recording songs in the studio, and it was like with the hope of Dave learning the song vocally and coming back and doing it, and then we just didn't do that because it was like, it's perfect the way it is. We'll leave it alone.
Well, I think now that
I don't sing as many songs on this record as I do usually. It's not as even either way, but vocally, I'm all over the motherfucker.
No, you are very much so. I mean,
Individually, off of this record, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite song on this one that we're talking about? Same with Alan and same with Kevin.
My favorite?
And why?
God, man, that's hard. It's like trying to pick which one of my kids I don't want to kill.
And that's a great analogy.
I know.
The songs are like children.
on the way up, you
You
were
name a couple of them.
I know my favorite guitar solo I think that I did was on Deadly Romantic, which is funny because that song, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. That song was actually just like something I couldn't stand.
Yeah, when we were speaking
We
earlier
went
about
in-
songs, like this song was probably just going to be filler.
Yeah.
They were like,
Barely
let's-
made it to the album.
Yeah, and then once we laid it down,
we're like, oh my god,
we were
this
like,
thing
holy
came out
shit, and then we ended up
amazing.
doing a fucking video for it.
First video.
Yeah, it ended up being one of my favorites. So I would say it's that one or Panic Attack would have to be. Yeah.
Which is like the simplest song. You went from.
I would have to say mine would be, from music standpoint, be Frozen. Because it shows the whole dynamic of the band and what we can actually do musician-wise, singing and playing all at the same time. Because you have all of us singing, doing harmonics, and it's a 3-4 time song, which not a lot of bands do. And it's a great fucking song.
Well, that
Not a lot of
song,
punk bands.
that song too, more than any, is a better representation of where we're at right now, because that song wasn't on the record. We had gotten done with the record. He was mixing it and mastering it and everything, and we wrote that song like we had. In 4 weeks after we wrapped the album, we wrote a new song, so we went back in and recorded it and put it on there.
Yeah, we did.
Kevin?
Mine will be the first song on the album, which is Reasons. And I think that the reason for me that would probably be my favorite song is because I think that is the start of us finding ourselves. I
The
mean,
very first song we laid down got completed in the studio as well.
and it started our vocal harmonies all over again.
Yeah.
We always, I know a lot of my friends and a lot of my friends that were in bands always talked about our vocals throughout the time me and Dave together, because we've always harmonized well. But I think on this album, like, we were like, they always said we did it well, so let's prove that we're even better than they thought. And I think we just do an amazing job of our layering. We start to break away from kind of doing the same thing together and start really like doing stuff that conflicts throughout the album, and it starts right off showing that like the way we sing, we kind of just like overlap on each other and try and go against each other, but it's still this harmony that we create through it, and it's very emotional, and there's a lot of emotion in the song. Like it just kind of hits it. I think it's just a perfect representation of everything that we did, and that starts it off. And it's just, to me, it's like a little ball of fire, and it kind of shows everything that we can do.
Plus, with this last record, we were a little bit more open to doing different stuff too.
We were.
Like especially doing when I was in the vocal booth for 8 hours sweating balls.
With the exception of him doing his vocal track on Frozen that we just knew wasn't going to work out, and then he put it on there. We're like, holy fuck, this is great. Like, it's fucking amazing.
The Pixie ambiance and the background vocals of that song, that was me and my idea, because I always liked, obviously most people will know the song from Fight Club at the end when they're blowing up the buildings, the Pixie song going in there. The ambiance on that song, the backing vocals on that, I loved it. So I honestly just completely took that same thing and added it to Frozen, and it was fucking awesome. It was fantastic, and I knew that it would work, but I had to convince these guys
It
that
took
it would work.
a
And
lot-
it took a lot of convincing.
I think me and him were riding up to the studio after Alan recorded it like a couple days before. We're just like, we're going to take that shit out. Fuck. We're going to take it the fuck out. And then it's like we got there and we were just like, all right, we'll listen to it.
It works.
At first we weren't going to listen. We were just like, we're taking that shit out. We'll just tell them that it didn't fucking work.
Take an intermission.
Oh,
We'll fill
love
our
it.
first hour. So
Cool.
stretch your legs, go to the restroom. If you guys want to get a soda across the street, there's a little
So,
gas station.
there's your phone.
We'll go. I'd like to give one more hour, and with the now, where do you guys do shows? Let's talk about some of the venues you guys have been playing, and what the regional punk scene is like these days.
Okay. Anybody want to start?
You can start this one.
Yeah, I'll let you take this
So I'm gonna go right off the bat.
Before I get into my ring.
And right, this is gonna sound bad. I don't know why it's pointing at your penis.
I know, it's
but
like direction
that's
of my cock.
That's his
you know?
voice. The cock. He speaks from the cock. The rest of us, it's the heart. Alan speaks from the cock. So back to the punk scene. So I'm gonna throw it out there, and this is just the way that I see it. And I'm not down on anybody. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. But I know versus back when we started, back in like '99 to versus now, there is no scene. I mean, there just really isn't.
03, 04 there was.
The scene is the handful of musicians that still do it. That's what I think. The kids don't come out no more, man. They don't come out to the shows. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I know that when I used to go out to shows and how I used to feel and the way it used to make me feel when I was going out and seeing these bands that you've never heard of before and that sound like amazing. It was like finding treasure, you know? And the kids just sit at home and they watch like YouTube. And I mean, maybe they get the same thing from that. But I know that musicians back when I first got into it weren't as plentiful as now, so it just didn't seem like as many. I mean, there were still a lot of great bands, a lot of people that were playing, and most of my friends are musicians, but versus then to now, there just really is no scene, and I feel as though I've watched the decline. I think that we watched it in the early days of Trigger, and then right after Trigger we went into other bands. Alan, again, he went to Corrupted Youth, and me and Dave were in a band called Devil's Radio, and we just kind of watched it dwindle into nothing. And now it's like you have the people that remember, you have like a handful of those people come out, and then there might be a handful of the younger kids that come out, but besides that, there really is no scene. At least I'm gonna say in Maryland.
Yeah.
We go to other places.
Yeah. Anywhere else we go, any other state, ridiculous.
And it seems like they come out a lot more.
A little bit different attitudes too.
Philly. I mean, the kids come out. I know we were up in Roanoke, and Roanoke, they came out. I even remember in Devil's Radio, we went up to Virginia Beach and we played like along the strip there at one of the clubs. And I mean, it was jam packed. It was just, you know, versus Maryland. It's just they don't
sold
come out
a lot of shit.
I don't get it. They don't.
When I went on tour with Corrupted Youth, one of the best shows we played was in Texas, and I shit you not, when we were going to this place, I still to this day do not remember exactly where it is. Out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, nothing for miles and miles and miles. And the directions were follow this dirt road down to the railroad tracks to where the railroad cars are.
Isn't that how every Unsolved Mysteries?
So So we're like, holy shit, you know. But we get there. And I shit you not, there's 3 railroad cars gutted side by side, packed full of 200 or 300 kids. There's not a house in fucking sight, so where the hell these kids came from, I don't know. But that was definitely the best show I've ever fucking played.
They're the chuds.
But yeah, I mean, it is different in different places. The scene around here, because being involved on both sides, being a musician and doing promoting, I know exactly why the scene's fucking dead around here. The places that these bands want to play can't get into it because they're being forced to what is called pay to play. When I look at it, I honestly kind of just look at it as bands not putting enough effort into promoting their product, which they should be doing in the first place.
Well, a lot of bands don't know how to do that.
Exactly. I mean, we struggle. We struggle a lot with our promotion.
Like I remember back in the late '90s, early 2000s, when you could go out and you would take some adhesive or some tape with flyers and you would just like plaster everywhere with flyers. I mean, you really can't do that with social media the way it is, and you know what I mean? Right. Most people follow social media. The kids don't go out. They just don't go out.
And bands have to look at it this way. It's like if they have to understand that if they want to play with these bigger bands cost money. The venues cost money. The sound men cost money. So you've got thousands of dollars up front there that, yeah, nothing's coming out of your pocket. But if you want to play with them, I mean, you need to put a little bit of effort into doing your part in promoting, help sell tickets if need be. I don't like the whole ticket thing. I think bands should be paid on audience attendance and performance. Because all in all, if a band performs, they did their job anyways. So they should be paid. But if no one comes to the show, then no one comes to the show. A band shouldn't expect to get paid. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what has ruined the scene around here. Because a lot of the good venues, that's what they want you to do. They hand you 50 tickets at $20 a pop for a local Sunday show and tell you that you need to sell 30 tickets or you can't play.
But the reason everybody wants to play these places and play with these bigger bands is because where we're from, this is half the reason why there's no scene. Unless you're a major label band, people don't give a shit. They don't want to hear you, right? Anywhere else we go, people come out and they listen to us and they love us and they buy our shit. They just like the music. They don't give a fuck that we're not on a label.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. You know?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of aspects, but I mean, and then people not coming out because they don't want to support certain things. Like, people need to stop nitpicking. I mean, punk rock is about all of the differences coming together
yourself,
as one, being yourself. Like,
as one of the lores.
I'm not going to go to a queer show because their band's called the Queers, and I find that being offensive. They've been around probably longer than you've been alive, you know, depending on how old you are. You know, so back in the 90s, whatever, when they first came up and stuff
80s.
like that, 80s and 90s, that wasn't an issue. You know what I mean? Like, I just...
Well, a lot of the punk, especially around our way, the punk scene, it's all, if you don't listen to this certain kind of band and this kind of music, if you don't wear these kind of clothes, if you don't wear this uniform, then you're not real punk rock. Blah, 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 blah. It's got to be this. It's got to be this kind of, this certain way. And if you don't wear it just this way or act just that way or smell a certain way, trust me, that's a lot of them. Smell a certain way, then you're not punk rock and you're not one of us.
It seems
What's the
funny
punk rock
because-
smell? I mean, I know the hippie patchouli smell.
Like a trash can.
What's the smell?
Like 3-day-old dumpster pizza, pretty much, mixed with onions and shit that
We went-
puked
Hey,
on.
Look, when I was squatting for 2 years.
You still smell like this, so don't even go there.
But here's the thing. But I'm just saying, with the smells, when I was squatting for a few years, the thing was with those squatters, yes, that's the thing. They love the way they smelled. You know, they wouldn't, you know, shower for. I mean, I would find the fucking closest truck stop on the side of the fucking road and take a hobo wash every fucking day, every chance I got. Like, I didn't like doing that. Like, I didn't give a shit if I was sleeping on the street or not. Like, I wanted to smell good. Like, you know. But yeah, I play the drums all the time. I'm always sweating now, you know. But
To your credit, you smell a lot better than you used to.
yeah,
I mean, back in '99, we couldn't even be in the same vehicle.
yeah.
But see, that's the thing, though. It's that whole thing with now it's very campy. It's all you got to be exactly like us, which is back when
Well, it's
I first
become-
came into the punk scene.
It's-
when he first brought me into it. This metal kid coming into the punk scene and meeting these people, I was like, "Fuck, man, being a metal kid, probably half these people ain't gonna like me." But you know how many people I met that fucking love Merciful Fate too?
It's funny because you have a lot of the punk scene that rallies against like politics and punk rock really has become like this super political thing because it's like it's so divided into these. I remember starting and all we had, they were just starting to label like pop punk and the, you know what I mean, but it's like everything is just labeled. It's just labeled everything, and
even metal went that way. I think all music in general has gone that way.
and there's all this
It's ridiculous.
mudslinging against like other people and stuff. It's just real. It's become really political, like, you know what I mean. And it's like people hate to hear that.
Don't play with
but
this
it
band
really
because
has.
they did this, and don't play with that band because they did that, or hey, their opinion on this, I don't like them, so I'm not gonna play with them. If they have good music, I mean, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. You know what I mean? So if the
And who
music's
gives
good,
a
that's
fuck?
why you're fucking there in the first place. Like,
I'll share with you guys.
Who gives a fuck who you voted for? Right?
When this this series first started, I had to deal with Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters and the fighting over it. So I just got to the point I was like, fuck politics, you know, I'll be apolitical through this series. I won't post any personal political view because I'll upset this group or I'll upset
no, absolutely.
that. And it's the
I feel the
most
same.
ridiculous thing.
It is.
It's about art and music. That is why we're
Right.
here.
But then even to go against I use the reference politics as in just how everyone's against this, that, or the other. You know what I mean? Because I mean that's kind of how politics is, and that's why I say with the punk scene, it's kind of what happened there. It's like there you have these people who are just against this, the other, and it's like the views aren't the same, and views weren't ever meant to be the same in punk rock. It was about being yourself,
being different.
It was the fact that you were different. You were
was a place-
fucking
it was a place
outcast.
where-
You
but
belonged
not getting
nowhere.
You could be
ostracized
accepted,
for
right?
having that opinion,
And it's not like that no
and it's
more.
just not like that.
It's not like that no more.
And now everybody's so fucking offended.
Right.
How the
Easy.
fuck is a punk rocker offended?
Right.
What
But
the
sarcasm and satire. I mean that's part of. I mean that's the Sex Pistols.
No,
you
yeah,
know,
man.
it's about making fun of something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, that's interesting.
Here, I'll offend everybody in one fell swoop. Okay.
Go.
Let's not do this.
Okay. Donald Trump fucked a Nazi while Hillary Clinton filmed and tried to cover it up. Mic drop, fuck everybody.
Okay. We're no longer a band.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You can believe.
Believe
My perspective,
that will be
you can
edited out.
Well, it's political. He's going to cut it anyway. He already told me that.
No, I'm not.
Say, he said, yeah. I didn't hear him say
We're
anything
having
about
fun, you know, and I
But-
totally get it. And I'm shocked to hear it. I really am.
Yeah.
It's the same as you guys. My understanding of what punk is for me, and you know, at 53, punk is as much part of my consciousness as it was when I was a young man. And the fashion was part of that, and I enjoyed the fashion, long hair, crazy shirts, crazy clothes. But as you get older, it's the philosophy that you take with it, the creative process. That's what makes you an artist in all mediums, you know, that anarchy, that ability
Especially the
to break every
DIY
rule.
came from that.
Yes.
That's still big with us. All
It
of
is,
our
it
shit
is.
we
Yeah,
make
we press
ourselves.
the-
Everyone
press
on
our
our
shirts.
bills are DIY.
Yeah, we press our shirts. We
We got
pay
our CD pressed, but I
Right,
mean, the only reason
we either pay for everything or we do everything ourselves. Bottom line, you know what I mean? So I mean, we can't press 500 CDs. We're not capable of doing it. Like we don't.
What
have
do you
that
guys
stuff.
do individually for money? Like, what are your jobs? What do you pursue in your everyday lives?
I don't know, man. No,
Kevin?
So I'm a maintenance supervisor
Okay.
for a property that has 360 townhomes. I've been in the field for about 8 years in doing maintenance. I did a lot of things growing up, plumbing, I think, for 3 years. I've worked in regular construction, building houses from the ground up. Like we had a friend who was a lawyer, so he would go in and these houses would burn down. We'd build them back up cheaper than the money that they were, just stuff like that.
That's
So
what I do.
I kind of did.
I work for a home improvement.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of everything, and then I had kids. Decided I needed to do something a little better. They came to me. I was working for a subcontractor on one of the properties. They came to me, asked me if I would like to try it. I did it. They had benefits. It helped out with my family. Better living situation, and then I just went up from there. I already kind of knew how to do everything. I'm pretty good with my hands. And then I just they seen that in me. They seen that I was a hard worker, and they moved me up, and now I'm supervisor. They actually I don't want to go into details about the company. They tried to get me to actually move into the corporate office, and I just couldn't do it because I feel like I'm an infant still at being a supervisor. I'd like to be great at what I do now. I feel that I'm doing a really good job. I was like maintenance supervisor of the year and stuff, but I've only been doing it for about 3 years, so I'm trying to. I don't want to move on until I feel as though I'm ready.
You probably should have made me go first because I'm
Yeah.
going to be the biggest letdown
You
when you get
follow
over
up.
here. He goes from you, who's got this
Well,
great
let's go
job,
down, let's go down.
you, who's a
Let's go down.
business owner,
Right.
and then my unemployed ass.
Now, grant you have reasons.
Oh yeah.
So you have reasons why you're unemployed. So, and you're a hell of a father, so you
Yeah.
make up for it there.
That's for sure.
How do you survive? Who helps?
I'm what they call disabled. So
Okay.
I get
Do you get-
disability. I was
You get disability. Good.
He
I was,
also has 2 autistic children that he takes care of. So, you know, that's a full-time job. in
It is.
itself.
It very much is.
Oh yeah.
I have a special needs child as well, and early on we decided that the mom was going to stay at home, my wife, and I mean she works as hard, if not harder, than I did the entire time, and I know the things that she goes through and what she had to do. We were just able. She just was able to get a job herself, and she ended up becoming a nurse. So she's doing well and all this. She's always wanted to help people. God bless her for putting up with me.
That's because she wants to help people.
Right. and she likes Dave. She likes
That's
Dave.
because she wants to help
people. But yeah, what he goes through, I know I've witnessed it myself. I watched my wife do it, so I know what he has, and he has 2 children that he has to take care of. So
One who's now an adult.
And doing well.
And doing well, actually. Just graduated. Yep.
So
Sure.
he did a really good job.
But yeah, but actually before that, before the state retired me, because I was diagnosed with degenerative disc and nerve disease, which usually people get when they're older.
Right.
I was diagnosed at 19. So my spine has degenerated over the years, but before the state retired me, I was actually an assistant special education teacher at a high school.
And his brain has also went through the same thing as his spine and his face.
Yeah.
He was a little prettier, but it's definitely
Alan, let's talk about the Green Goat.
Yeah.
Is this your first business like that?
Yes,
Legit.
first business venture. Yes, my fiance Kristen and I opened up a store in October, and it's called the Great Green Goat. It's on Route 40 in Frederick. It's a smoke shop / vintage store. The concept was that it's not your everyday kind of smoke shop. It's a punk themed. We have all kinds of tour shirts from the early 80s and 90s, first pressing records.
But it's not just punk either.
I got metal stuff. Also,
I know you have a pretty badass Guns N' Roses shirt.
Yeah.
and it's not
You bought that
just
from a
not just a
cool-ass
hit
guy.
shop. Like you go in there, it's like history. You know what I mean? Like you can go in there, and it's kind of like a little museum. I mean, he has all this stuff, and
Yeah, you got
can buy
Dwayne
it,
Peters'
but at the
fucking
same
baseball
time, He has
uniform.
all this stuff in there that's just awesome to go in and see.
Yeah, I got Michael Graves' Stage Worn Misfits leather jacket from 95 to 98. I've got Dwayne Peters' hat that he made while he was on the European tour for when he did the World in 99. I've got the very first U.S. Bomb shirt ever pressed. I have his baseball pants that he used for his first tour in 93. I have his personal shirt that he got made by this dude from this French band called the Bad Lieutenants, which is in the case. Only one was ever made, but he cherished that shirt, so I kind of like it a lot. So that's why I have it stuck in my case instead of the Misfits jacket. I really don't care about the value-wise. I just like the shirt better. But I also have
you wear the leather jacket. I mean,
plus,
all
I
winter,
wear a leather jacket too.
Yeah, in the one video you're wearing that one.
And then I have his skateboard that I guess he used back in 2009 or 2011 for one of the competitions that he did. Because besides the U.S. Bombs, he's in the Skateboard Hall of Fame. So. But yeah, I've got some interesting stuff, signed stuff from Joe Jack Talcum from Dead Milkmen, Keith Morris from Circle Jerks. I've got some promo shirts, stuff signed, all kinds
Promo
of crap.
vinyls.
All kinds of
Promo,
stuff.
yeah.
Test vinyl.
First pressings, test pressings. I've got the Oi to the World 1996 test pressing Vandals. It's all signed by them. Actually, pretty sure the copy I got was Joe Escalani's, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I got a few things. That's cool.
I'm going to pitch to Chris in about 10 minutes, so I'll throw my last question. One of the things we've loosely talked about with all the, especially with the driving beats with Andy, is we've talked loosely about drugs, you know. When I was younger and as an artist, I experimented with psychedelics. I always enjoyed that. I'm a stoner, I have no problem talking about that. But what are some of your guys' views on drugs, drug use? What do you say to young people? What about drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll? I mean, I think we all know, we can recognize that drugs have had an incredibly detrimental impact to our immediate families, friends, everything. So just wax philosophically. I'll start with Kevin and go down the line. That's my last question. I'll pitch to Chris.
Personally, I know that I've been through a lot with my siblings, parents, as far as drug use goes. There's been a lot of like ups and downs with it. I stayed away for the most part from drugs, just seeing what they did firsthand to my family and stuff.
He's a good one.
And I used the music. Yeah, I used the music that kind of to escape some of that. I think later on in my teen years, the same thing with kind of anything I did. I kind of threw myself into it, like, and just really focused on everything. Like, I know I spoke about comic books and stuff, and I would just sit in my house and I would do that stuff for like hours and hours just to escape from like the stuff that was going on around me. Some of the drugs like marijuana and stuff. I did marijuana. I think just about everybody in the world has done marijuana, even people who don't want to admit it. You know, I find out all the time, like these people who I would have thought would, you know, were these people that would have never done anything, like smoke marijuana and stuff. I don't really see a problem with marijuana at all. I don't even see it as a drug anymore, as far as like illegal or anything like that. I think it helps people. I know that I've seen a lot of tests on a lot of the of people with autism, and then like kids with hyper disorder. Like it can benefit people, but then I've seen like the bad drugs too, like crack and stuff. Went through it firsthand with, like I said, my family and all. I feel bad for those people.
The walkers.
We spoke about that a little earlier off camera, and it's like you make jokes and you try to make light of the situation, but it really is terrible. And sometimes you sit and think about that, and you kind of feel bad. You really feel bad. It's not kind of, but you kind of try and make light of it like any way you can. Sometimes it's joking. It might not be the correct way to do it, but it's just us as a society. You have to find ways to get past it. I mean, and that's with everything in life. Like when you have deaths and stuff in the family, or to loved ones, or to like pets and stuff, you have to figure out a way to mourn, and that can be your way of mourn. So again, I don't have nothing against controlled use of some drugs, and then the harder drugs. I don't understand why people would turn to it, but they do, and maybe they just haven't found the right way to escape or to deal with the things that they're going through. I was lucky enough to find things that helped me that weren't so harsh, or I'm not even gonna say they weren't addicting, because I mean I'm still playing music, and that shit's addicting as fuck. But I just found, I guess, better things to help me escape from things like that. So it still hurts when you see people go through it. I actually have a brother that lives with me who battles. He was on other drugs, but now it's like alcohol. He finally got off, and he was on alcohol. And for a long time, I guess for about 8 years, I let him do just obliterate himself.
He almost killed himself.
Right, and I let him do it because I felt as though it was kind of like the lesser evil, because of the things that he was on. He spent plenty of time in jail for the things he did and all. He stole stuff from us one time, and I sent him to jail. But I mean, he's a good guy.
He really is.
And now he battles with alcoholism, and he's not currently using, but he falls back on it. Like he'll go back and drink for like a week or two, and then it's like you try and help him out. So it's sad, but again, we all have our way of dealing with stuff, and I think that's his way of dealing with it. And we can only help the people around us, but there are so many people out there that you can't help. You just gotta try and figure out ways to deal with it, I guess, to cope.
I myself have had a lot of experience with this issue throughout most of my life, to be honest with you. I'm an addict. I mean, once you're an addict, you really are an addict for life, depending, you go from one thing to other. You always replace one thing with another, no matter what it is, whether it be music or, a favorite TV show. You put yourself in something doing consistently, you get addicted to it. It makes you feel good. That's just being addicted to it. I was on hard drugs for a lot of years.
What hard drugs?
Dope.
Sure.
I was on dope for heroin for a long, long time.
Were you using an IV?
Yep. I was injecting. At first, when it was introduced to me, I was probably 18. I snorted it, made me throw up all over the place, didn't like it, whatever. But just like anybody else, it's kind of one of those things where somebody had it, offered to me it again, I fucking did it again. And this time I was done what they call chasing the dragon, where you actually smoke it. And that actually had a different effect on me. It made me feel great. It is the worst, best feeling you will ever have. It is terrible. It is really a disgusting drug. I was on it for about 15 years. Not consistently, but definitely off and on a lot. I used it to cope with shit that I probably should have found a different outlet for. But I haven't touched it. It's probably been between 4 and 5 years now. I haven't touched anything man-made. I won't even take an Advil or a Tylenol when I have a fucking headache. But I smoke a shit ton of weed. You know what I mean? And that honestly has helped me. Back in the day, I've always smoked weed. But there was always a stigma around it. So, it's like you couldn't be so open. Now that I'm open about it, I'm very open about it. Because it has helped. You know what I mean? It's a wonderful thing, to be honest with you. But the people who are on the harder drugs, the thing with those people, the only way that those people are going to be helped is if they want to help themselves. And that was what basically was the conclusion that I had to come to with myself when I had to get off of it. So, it's a horrible thing. I've lost band members and friends to it over the past few years.
Gave you one hell of a reason why you weren't at one of our practices.
Yeah, no, I did relapse. That was the very last time I had done it. I had relapsed, and I had died. Woke up in the hospital. Apparently they had given me about 4 Narcan shots. And didn't show up for practice. Didn't tell anybody what was going on. I really couldn't because I was stuck in the hospital.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as soon as I got out of the hospital, which by the way, I'm not even sure if I'm still 100%. I left the hospital with a heart of 83%. So, you know what I mean? I don't have any money. I can't stay there, So I left because I think we had a show.
We had, it was a couple weeks out, but yeah, and we were kind of uncertain on what we were going to do, but I think the first thing was I think we all knew Alan had his vices. We didn't talk much about it, but then after that happened, we wanted to let him know that, if he needed someone to talk to,
right.
We were there. We weren't going to push him away because of what he was doing. We just wanted to be help, if he needed someone to talk to, and he felt that was a good way to stay away from it, then he could come talk to it. And we told him, we were like, you can be honest with us. If you're back on it, you just tell us. We're not going to push you away, We'll figure it out together.
I might smack you in the face a bunch because you won't feel it.
Right.
Yeah, no. Yeah, one of the main reasons why I like the shop that I have is because with some of these people that come in, and it's not even. Some of these people didn't even really have a fucking choice that are addicted to some of these things because they got hurt. They went to war and got hurt, and then the doctors prescribed them all these fucking medications that are actually even worse than heroin itself, to be completely honest with you. And then they get addicted to those, and then they're stuck on them. And so I get people that come into the shop all the time looking for something to replace that, even if they just want something natural that will help them replace it and eventually wean themselves off to it. And that's my shop offers that. We sell certain items that I can't really mention live, but it helps people control that and get off of it. And there are people who I know that started coming into the shop that were on drugs, and now they're not, and they've consistently using the product, and they're weaning themselves off, gradually doing it. And from doing all that, getting myself off of it, knowing how hard it is, you know what I mean, and then knowing that these people come in here looking for help and being able to help them, that's I definitely enjoy that. And that's one of the main reasons that I don't do it anymore, because I feel that I need to let people know that you can get off of it. You know what I mean? And it may take some help, but the biggest help is yourself. So, that's bottom line.
Dave?
Well, for me, the opioid thing is a real big issue.
And eating.
Fuck you.
I'm not going to mention who it is, but somebody who was very,
an important figure in my life was prescribed opioids. And I watched how it basically destroyed their life, ruined their marriage, just changed them as a person. And they're not the same anymore. So I always hated it because of that. As far as the other drugs go, I never really fucked around with too much. I was too scared to fucking mainline it.
The funny thing
I would sniff anything all day.
The funny thing is, out of everything, I don't drink. I've had, don't get me wrong, I've had, a rum and coke, but I don't go out to bars, I don't go out looking to drink, you know what I mean? If someone asks me to go out to some place, they'll tell you. If someone buys me a beer, I won't be ignorant and not accept it, but you'll see me sipping on it the entire night. You know what I mean? And I think the reason I never got, was drinking is just because the adult influences around me when growing up, always constantly drinking. You know what I mean? I just never got into it, and I think that's what kind of pushed me on to searching for other stuff as well. You know what I mean? Everybody's got their vice.
For me, it was always alcohol. See, he never really drank much. My slogan was always drink till you puke, and then drink again.
And you did a good job of a hang with me. That's what we were about for a minute.
But I got pretty bad with it. Like I don't really drink anymore now. I haven't since I've been since I've been smoking weed, y'all.
Yeah,
I haven't really drank.
He got his card. He finally got his card,
and now I haven't had to sit down at a show. My back hasn't gone out on me. This shit's awesome. And like when I went to apply for my card, I thought this was really weird. I won't mention the name of my insurance company because I'm not gonna fucking throw them under the bus like that. But when I went to get my card, right, you have to see a doctor to get your certifications, to get your medical card in the state of Maryland. So I called my doctor, or at least I talked to the nurse, and I said, would I be able to see you for this? She goes, no, we don't participate in this program. I went, huh? Well, you participate in taking my fucking money every month to pay the premium, and you participate in offering me opioids because of this shit with my back. So how is that cool that you're going to offer me fucking heroin, but you don't want nothing to do with some weed? I was pretty much done at that point, It's stupid.
you guys, at least, what was your name?
Kevin.
Kevin. You mentioned in regards to a lot of the decreasing attendance with the younger generation with YouTube. Do you see it also as a benefit, meaning that if you have like a video on YouTube, you're reaching to places like Idaho, California, maybe New York, but it's also that, as you said, that
Yeah, it's kind of a double.
it's a double-edged.
It's a double-edged sword because
Double-sided.
see, so I send out a lot of our stuff to everybody. And what happens is yeah, I mean, you can have a video on YouTube, or you can have your video on this network or this network. The problem is these are segregated little things that only go to certain people. It doesn't really reach, unless you get on something like Octane or something, you're really not reaching the masses like you really want to. Yeah, it doesn't, it's,
Hell, even being played on regular FM radio now doesn't mean everybody's going to hear you.
Right.
Because
I
nobody
think we have,
fucking
what,
listens to the radio
15,000 we
anymore.
have 15,000 views, 20,000 views on one of our videos. But if you note, and you go on, you notice like only 5 people have commented. There's only like 96 likes. So the internet is fucking fickle.
Yeah,
The internet is just fickle.
I do feel you guys in regards to this, because with like Facebook and YouTube, it's also like you have a lot of folks telling you guys and like myself and maybe like Don, you got to use Facebook, you got to use Twitter, you got to use YouTube, you got to get yourselves up on social media to help promote you guys. Then all of a sudden, here comes Facebook, or YouTube or Twitter for that matter, we're gonna move the goalpost for you guys, and all of a sudden, unless you have multi-thousands of dollars to spend, you ain't reaching
Right.
nobody.
Right, because unless
Yeah.
you don't, I mean, because so like you can promote yourself on Facebook as a band, but the thing is with that promotion, you're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
And that still doesn't guarantee
And
that
still
anybody in
if
Europe
you,
is going to hear
when you
you.
go into it, it tells you, hey, where do you want to reach, whatever. So, and it says, it might reach up to 200,000 people, but in reality, after it's done, because I've done a couple of these for
Yeah.
the shows I do to promote the shows, it doesn't reach nearly as many as these fucking
Well, what
people.
about the demographic? You know, like
And the
Yeah.
demographic.
people that you want to
yeah.
reach. You know?
What happens is you can get specific on it, but when you get specific, then you have no one to share it with. But then when you don't get specific and it sends it out to hundreds of thousands of people, it ends up sending it to people that don't fucking matter.
Yeah, I
Fake,
on my personal
fake profiles and all this stupid
Yeah.
bullshit. So
I've had on my profile, my personal profile on Facebook. It's like all of a sudden I'm getting sponsored stuff in like Chicago, Charleston, West Virginia, like maybe Albany. Like, I don't live anywhere near here. Why do I want to go to an event in Albany, New York,
right.
when I'm living here in Martinsburg?
Right.
You know, I've had people told me, say, you've been to Connecticut, covering that like 5 years ago. I'm like, that's a little bit out of my show range. It's like I might see you guys if you come to like if I have a ride to Hagerstown. It's like, hey, let's go see Trigger 13 in Hagerstown.
Right.
That's within a travel limit,
Right.
or Baltimore.
Right.
But I'm not going to travel all the way up to Connecticut. Spend like $2,000 just to see. It's nothing. It's nothing against you guys, but I'm
Right.
not going to spend $2,000 for a $20
But that's great.
show.
But that's how
People wouldn't
that's how it is
expect
everywhere. That's the thing. But that's how it is everywhere. I've noticed. For instance, Frederick people don't like traveling to DC, and Frederick people don't like traveling to Baltimore. Baltimore people don't like traveling to Frederick. Baltimore people don't like traveling to DC.
Baltimore
DC
people don't like traveling to nowhere.
They don't like traveling outside of their home.
So
Yeah, if they gotta leave Light Street, fuck it.
So what happens is, instead of us playing one show in Baltimore and hitting everybody like you would
Right.
assume that you would, we have to separate and play 4 shows to hit everybody in that little 45-minute area.
That being said, do you find that there are other bands out there that are similar to that? Meaning, again, I'm not dissing you guys or throwing shade with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that there's bands that saying, I'm only playing Baltimore, I'm only playing Newark because of X, Y, and Z?
So-
Well, yes, but
I've seen I've seen a lot of, I've never heard a band say I'm only playing Baltimore. I've seen a lot of bands say that they are not playing Baltimore.
Yes.
And not because I mean it's.
I'm
not,
just using it for example.
No. I'm telling you that I've heard other bands say that they're not going to play Baltimore, and it's because the scene's dead there. I mean, it just really is. You see the punk rock stickers that say "Punk's dead." I mean, in Baltimore, I mean, it really is. And I mean,
That
it's
sticker's
like
a way of
the
life.
only bands that like you have bands that play there, and I'm not mentioning any names, but you have bands that play there, and they're like a clique. All right, the only people that come out to see them are their people. They're not even their fans. It's like
They don't
it's
go
like
out to
the other bands that they play with.
but they'll kiss the other band's asses to their face.
To their face. I've heard tons of people talk bad about other bands. Like bands talk bad about other bands behind their back.
That's one of the big things that I've noticed.
Nasty. I mean,
is-
just nasty.
is people talking shit about other bands behind their back.
And I can't speak for the other places that we played, but I know that when we play other places, like when we play like outside of Baltimore, when we play outside of Maryland, it feels like you feel respected, wanted. You know, you just do. You go out and play, and it's like people are excited to see you, and that's lost in Baltimore. I don't know what it is why the people don't come out in Baltimore. I don't know if it's the crime. I don't think it is. It was pretty bad when I was a kid. You know, I seen it decline, but it was bad when I was a kid, and I used to go out. I do think that the internet helps you reach a little further, but then at the same time, I think it stops the kids from going out. They just that's their 24/7,
Because if
and it's
you-
not music no more. Like I watch my kids watch people play video games. Watch someone play video games. I'm just like it blows my mind.
So, for instance, the U.S. Bomb show that I did at 611 to do our CD release, I didn't make any bands sell tickets. I promoted everything myself. I spent about $250, $300 to promote on Facebook. It reached probably 60, 70,000 people. 120 people showed up to that show.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, that's not a bad show, don't get me wrong, especially for a Sunday. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, if you most of those people that came to that show was because I went out on the street and did face-to-face promotion, handing them flyers, because that's what I grew up doing. And I love doing that. If a band member comes up to me or a promoter comes up to me on the street and hands me a flyer to the show, I'm most likely going to go to that fucking show than I am going to see something on the internet.
like
Because
when I was-
somebody took the time,
and that's
the time to come up to me and promote that to me. I mean, clicking a button on the internet, anybody can
It
fucking
gave you
do that.
something to kind of cherish.
I'll give you
Yeah,
guys
exactly.
two different things. First off is that when I helped cover a paranormal convention at the Roundhouse last year, they said that they put radio ads out, Facebook ads, they had flyers in some of the places down here in downtown, and they had newspaper ads. Barely anybody showed up because of it being the area. And the other thing I wanted to say is that part of my mentality is like what you were saying. Why didn't you go to like Double Tollgate Flea Market and just hand out flyers? Make something, you know, where a lot of people are
the
going to
connection.
see the connection.
People want to
come down.
see that connection.
And I've
That's the
told
thing.
even the local promotion, it's like you have to, you know, if Winchester, everybody's leaving this area to go to Winchester for events, go there to promote your events.
If we had a legit street team that just helped promote
And I was just
everything,
about to say the same thing.
we would be fine as far as the scene, but everybody just wants to fucking work against
Do
each
people
other.
really
Well,
remember
that's the problem.
when bands had street teams? Like when you had
Like-
Remember
like,
fan clubs?
Fan clubs?
Those were the
street
shit.
teams?
I like street teams better because they help.
Hey
you
man,
with
here's a
footwork,
T-shirt. Can
but-
you go pass out flyers?
Man,
Like, I
you know,
mean,
good stuff, man.
You know, people. I mean, it like all that shit's lost.
And
All
that,
that's
that
lost.
reminds me of another story. I heard one promoter one day decide, I need to promote my event. So he had like 300 shirts made. He handed them out to the homeless saying, just wear this. Wear this.
That's not actually a bad idea.
Yeah, it was just, he was doing something for the kind thing, but he wanted to get the event
Right.
out.
You're doing
and-
several different things.
And
there.
but to kind of move on a little bit, how was? I think you guys might have answered this.
It's all right.
How has the scene changed over the years that you've been playing?
Yeah.
Here for us, it has declined. We've definitely seen a decline
At home.
At home. But like I said,
Which
like
sucks
you said,
because you want to do really well at home. And we don't.
I don't know. I can't speak for the other places. Like I said, when we go out, we see more people coming out to us when we're going to PA or Jersey or Virginia or wherever else. It's outside of Maryland. We definitely see more people coming out to those shows.
And we're starting to see the same people come back.
Yeah,
and we're getting bigger shows. I mean, they're offering us bigger shows, bigger events. It's like here we've been playing our hearts out, and I mean, I really think that because of that click, and we may not be. We're against the click. I'm 100% certain of it because I know how it is and why we're not part of the click, which has nothing to do with us, but kind of the people we align ourselves with, because we want to give everybody a chance. You know what I mean? I have fun with the people that talk bad about other people, and I have fun with the people they talk about, and I don't want to alienate either one because they're my friends. You know what I mean? And it's sad.
But the funny thing is, if they would all hang out, they would actually find out they really would get along.
But it'll never happen because some people are so opinionated on just certain things about people. It doesn't make sense at all.
Would you all think that being an independent band like you guys are, would you think that I wouldn't say areas like Martinsburg, but maybe like Frederick or Baltimore be a little bit more starved for somebody different instead of the usual rhetoric of a mainstream band or something coming out of the major cities?
That's a good question. I mean, because I feel as though I don't feel as though we're really like anyone. I know a couple of the other bands. I know a couple of the other bands that we play with a lot. I don't feel as though they really sound like anyone else.
That's not what I'm saying. You'd think more people would be thirsty for an independent band instead of hearing a lot of maybe Aerosmith or a Soundgarden or Five Finger Death Punch. Like them or hate them or whatever. But
you would think.
You would think that, but the thing is nowadays with the music industry the way that it is. Independent bands, Diamond. I mean, there's so many of them now of the independents that I honestly think that there's a lot of them. So I mean, there's more independent shows now than I see with the bigger shows. So some of the bigger bands that I would want to go see. You know what I mean?
So it's the case of that everybody's like, I'm sick of hearing 50 Five Finger Death Punch clones, so you have like 50 bands, doing their own thing, therefore flooding the market.
You would think.
I wish that would happen.
But
I think, and I'm going to say this, I think
it's not the case at all.
I think honestly what happened, and this is really sad, is that people finally accepted and lived with the fact that shitty fucking music was good for them.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of...
I am 100% certain that people have been completely brainwashed into shitty fucking mainstream music is all you need to listen to. It gets you through the day, and they're good with that.
And I remember when we first started as a band, and all the bands around us, we all tried to sound different anyway. You know what I mean? It was always trying to have your own sound and stuff. And I know that a lot of the younger bands that we play with, they're like, oh, we sound like this, we sound like that. And it's like they directly, and it's not just like they want to sound like a band. They all want to sound like the same band. It's like just fucking mind blowing that everybody wants to sound like this band. You know what I mean? And they're accepting of sound like that band, but the fans are like that too. Like now they're just like, oh, this band sounds like this. I love these guys because they sound like this band that I like. Where it was like, when it was a little different when we were just starting out.
You wanted somebody that had their own thing,
right? And if you sound like, I'm not going to say you were shunned if you sound like anybody, but I mean, people were looking for the more original stuff that was out there. I mean, you can see it even in the music industry with all the bands, like they're starting to sound retro and stuff, and it's like it's all stuff.
Look at movies.
Went through.
No more original ideas. All movies are being redone.
I had this real quick.
That's why I'm saying I'm fully convinced that humans do no longer. They become brainwashed. They no longer want new good shit.
And it's funny, you hear a lot of people talk about like the millennials and how the millennials are like doing all this, and it's not like the people that are making the movies is like they're all like our age and stuff, and it's like, god damn it, I know we have better ideas than this. But yeah, man, it's just like you would think, but no, people are really content right now with just the same old shit.
Yeah. So that being
I'm in my last 10 minutes. Go ahead with your question and then I'll one more.
even though you talked about the struggles and the hardships and everything else, what advice would you have? Because we are in the Let There Be Rock school. What advice would you have for the younger generation today that wants to be I don't want to say the next, indie band or the next, thing.
I would say don't stop.
Yeah.
It's your heart, man.
Right.
The bottom line, no matter how much we bitch and complain about other people doing their thing, it's still their thing, and that's what it is. You want to play what you want to play, and you feel a certain way, and if the music's not doing that for you, then you're not going to want to do it no more. So you just keep doing your thing, man. Whatever makes your heart beat, that's what you got to keep doing.
Somewhere there's a 12-year-old kid with a guitar that's just like me, and he's thinking maybe I shouldn't play. But to that 12-year-old kid, I would say,
there's no one like you.
no. To that 12-year-old sitting in his room trying to figure out how to play the guitar, getting frustrated, I would say, if you really want to be a rock star, don't let nobody fucking tell you you don't deserve to be one. Go for it. Get famous, baby.
The bottom line is just keep going with it. I mean, shit, been doing it for 30 plus years now.
I'm still learning new shit.
Don't make money doing it, but I enjoy doing it.
My favorite, Alan, this is my favorite one. This was when we were first meeting. That was the Voodoo Love God show when you were sitting in the back and you said, Sky Stage is rocking tonight. You've seen all of those old timers bring incredible performances to that venue.
Yep.
So what do I expect from you guys? I want to hear about this stage show, and I want you to make that showcase one worth time immemorial. We film it forever. So let's talk about that stage show and how the fuck is Trigger 13 gonna rock me the fuck out.
Well, I can tell you we're gonna do what we always do. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna fucking play the living shit out these songs.
Yeah, we're gonna let the music
We're gonna
speak
tear
for itself,
ass.
man.
We don't really gloat. We're not a gloating band. We really honestly let the music speak for themselves. I mean, we don't go out there with a lot of pyrotechnics and that bullshit, whatever.
You can expect
hit
in the
not
face
yet.
with
I mean, don't get me wrong.
picks.
Don't get me
'Cause I
wrong.
throw a lot of them.
If we could have some fireworks and some fucking shit going on, I mean,
Right.
I'm sure we could.
You're gonna
do
You're
it.
gonna see a good band.
Yeah.
At least I think we're good. You're gonna see us have.
We
fun.
got a sweet
We're
backdrop.
gonna hope you have fun. You're gonna see us heckle each other because that's our stick, man. That's our stick. Because I really don't like these people, even though I hang out with them, talk good about them. It's all an act.
I mean, the cool thing is, as far as like everything looking, like we all belong in the same band, all of our stuff is branded. We have this behind us. Well, the small, is that the smaller one? Or
No,
is
this is
that-
the big one.
No, is this the stadium size one?
I don't know.
This
Man.
is the
That's
big-
the big
this
one.
is the big
It's the
one.
only. It's
Yeah,
the
this
only
the
way
we can never fucking use this thing. No place is big enough for this shit. So we got one we actually use is smaller.
But
But we got that. The kick drum has the graveyard scene on it, and then my guitar amp has the Angel of Death on it with the Trigger 13. And
If you like
Kevin's
metal,
working on it.
We're logoed. That's about it.
if you like metal, if you like thrash, and if you like punk, then you should enjoy us because that's it. We try and bring it all. And every show, it's like we don't go out there and slack. We're not gonna go out there and just be matter of fact. We play each show like it's our last because I mean it's all we have. And at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're throwing our heart out there. You know what I mean? Like.
You'll never get a shit show from
whether it's 5 people or 100 people, man, we're gonna fucking throw it out there to you.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be the same band that you seen the last time. And if you liked us, and we're gonna continue to just do that.
Shit, even if you want to come out and just heckle my guitar playing,
even if you don't
just
like us,
come watch.
we're gonna do it. We're gonna bring it like we always bring it in this.
If you want shit hot guitar,
I have no
mix,
doubt that you guys are going
Yeah,
to
man.
bring it. And Alan, you've been pushing hard to be part of it since the very inception. So I'm very happy that we got you guys involved with this, and I'm really looking forward to the performance on the 17th. All of these are meant as showcases. We'll have 3-4 different filmmakers there recording everything. So if it's anything like the first 3 programs, they've been epic. We've gotten 3 incredible reviews from that Declan Polar on them. Hopefully he'll cover this one. It's you, the Supertones, who I've never heard, and the Helger Mice.
Yep.
So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
played with them before.
Hug mice.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure we have.
I don't have no more. You guys got anything?
Yeah. No,
Chris?
man. Yeah. It's all new to us, man. So
I've only done one other interview in this past
This is
year.
actually the first full band interview that we've ever done.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Don and Trigger 13, and I hope the audio wasn't as cringeworthy as I made it out to be, but I just felt like I had to warn all of you about that because of the audio quality and the problems that we had. And one last little bit of disclosure. This, in essence, is Don's content in all sense of the word. I just want to give credit to Don in regards to that. He allowed us to sit in on this interview, record it as like a backup, and kind of present it to all of you as a way to let all of you know that there are indie bands such as like previous week's the Drive-In Beats, and with this interview, Trigger 13. So I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you want to hear the interview with the Drive-In Beats that was done a few weeks ago, you can always go back into our archives and listen to that interview if you haven't already. But speaking of which, if you're listening to us on the move, but you would rather listen to us on your desktop or computer, you can listen to past episodes like the interview that we recorded with Don with the Drive-In Beats by going to our main website, which is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, and download any show that we have in the past, whether it's an interview, convention panel, convention coverage, live episode, what have you. You can do that and play it on the player of your choice, whatever that might be. Or you could subscribe to us on, at least for the moment, iTunes, or if they change it up to a new type of software over the next couple of months, I don't know. But we are also available on Spotify, Stitcher Radio, hopefully Pandora. We put in an application to be featured on them as well, but we have not heard anything back. But still, for now, it's our main website, Apple software, whatever it might be right now when you're hearing this, but for the moment it's iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio. Yes, we are on iTunes, and speaking of iTunes, not iTunes, I should say YouTube. Our podcasts are uploaded to YouTube, but let me just say that if you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, you're more than happy to do so. There are plenty of videos on there that you could watch, that we have done that you could watch. You could find us on YouTube by searching for the Long Coat Mafia podcast. Link will be in kind of like the show description. While you're there, please hit the subscribe button, and if you like any of the videos, hit that like button while you're there. As for if you're on the mobile side of things, we are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio. I think we're found on a few other podcasting apps, as well as the Podbean app. I do recommend bookmarking our main website if you're on the desktop, which is, again, thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, and having the Podbean app on hand, because sometimes maybe Google or Apple software might glitch out, and that way you have at least a backup way of getting our show. And as for our social media, before we do so, you can always join in the conversation in regards to any episode we post up, anything we talk about, or anything like that. You could always email us at longcoatmafia@gmail.com. Feel free to email us. We will read your email on the air. We're not afraid to do that. Also, you can leave a message on our social media sites, which is in regards to Facebook. For this particular episode, or any episode, you can comment on the pinned post, which is promoting that particular week's episode. that you want to comment on. And our Facebook page is facebook.com/The Long Coat Mafia Podcast. But in the upcoming weeks, we'll get into why we can't really tell you to like our page, like our posts, or react to our posts and leave a comment. But leaving a comment, we will read that stuff, and also we will. You can also leave us a message on Facebook, and we'll get there. So, also our Twitter handle is Longcoat Mafia, so you can always leave us a direct message there. Plus you could follow whatever we post up. I got to start tweeting out some more and reacting to a lot of folks, but Twitter has been kind of funky lately. We do have an Instagram account. Our Instagram handle is also Longcoat Mafia. You can leave us a direct message there as well, but be advised that we've been getting a lot of posts on Instagram that are 0 followers, 0 posts, and most of the time 0 following as well. We consider those as spam messages because there's been a lot of messages coming in like that are for possibly scam sites and the whatnot. So we tend to delete those posts as soon as possible because we don't really understand it, and it just, some of the messages that we get in are excuse me, hello, and some of them, please see my album here. That's not that on my end, and the show's end causes for immediately deletion and ignore. But for the most part, leave us a message, we'll read it, because that's how Instagram works. Again, we have our YouTube channel. Just search for our Long Coat Mafia Podcast. We are there. What else? We do have 2 streaming channels that we could stream games to, that we have to start streaming stuff to. Hopefully we'll do that once. Should be doing it between now and by the time Borderlands 3 drops. But still, we have it. We have a Mixer channel, which is mixer.com/LCMP, and those letters are in caps. And we do have a Twitter channel, which is twitter.com. Not com. It's twitter.tv/Longcoat Mafia Pod. Feel free to subscribe to us there, and when we have new content posted up or start streaming, hopefully I'll remember to let you guys know that we are streaming. And that seems to be about it for right now. We'll see you guys and gals next week, so make sure you stay tuned to, again, iTunes/Apple Podcasts, our main website, thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, or wherever you get our podcasts. That way you're up to date. If you need to hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll, or that follow button, depending if you follow us on social media, to be notified when new episodes have dropped. And that way you could get them and listen to them on your player of choice. So, that being said, I'm the Reverend Godfather, and I am gone. So, see you guys and gals next week.
You've been listening to the Long Coat Mafia Podcast, the internet's most hated and mafia-themed geek podcast.